On June 15, 1904, 1,300 residents of Little Germany boarded the paddle steamer General Slocum for a church picnic. They were cruising up the East River, navigating just yards from the Manhattan shoreline. The passengers were well within shouting distance of safety on the city docks. Deep in the lamp room, a spark caught near oily rags. On a well-maintained ship, this is a minor nuisance. Instead, that single flame killed over 1,000 people and permanently erased the Kleindeutschland neighborhood from the map of New York. To understand this, we have to look at how a localized fire on a boat surrounded by water turned into an inescapable death trap. When the crew first noticed the smoke, they dismissed it. That initial delay gave the fire the critical oxygen and time it needed to spread beyond the confines of the lamp room. Even as the flames grew, the captain made a fatal navigational decision. Rather than immediately beaching the vessel on the nearby shore, he maintained full speed and steered directly into the wind. By pushing forward at maximum velocity, the ship forced heavy headwinds straight through the open architecture of the passenger decks. This aerodynamic funneling turned the wooden hull into a massive blowtorch, accelerating the flames backward and pinning the passengers at the rear of the vessel. Before most of the picnickers even realized they were in danger, human error and elementary physics had already converted a manageable fire into a high-speed inferno. When the crew finally tried to fight the blaze, the ship's fire hoses simply burst. They had been left rotting so long that the canvas ruptured the moment it hit water pressure. Panicked sailors rushed to lower the lifeboats, but they couldn't budge them. The boats had been painted over so many times that they were rusted fast to their iron davits. These weren't isolated accidents. The Knickerbocker Steamship Company had spent years imposing extreme cost-cutting measures across their entire fleet. The most lethal shortcut was in the life jackets. To pass weight-based inspection tests without buying real cork, the company filled the canvas compartments with cheap, heavy iron filings. They wired the fire valve shut to avoid leaks and routinely bribed maritime inspectors, who happily signed off on the ship's safety standards year after year. The passengers on the Slocum were doomed by decades of institutional rot that actively converted their emergency equipment into lethal hazards. By the time the burning ship finally grounded at North Brother Island, the remaining passengers had no choice but to jump into the treacherous currents of the East River. Mothers and children who couldn't swim strapped on the legally mandated life jackets and jumped, only to be dragged straight to the bottom by the iron filings inside them. The disaster claimed over 1,000 lives. The sheer concentration of the grief triggered a mass migration away from the Lower East Side, completely dismantling the dense, vibrant neighborhood of Little Germany. This level of corporate negligence resulted in the geographic erasure of an entire cultural community. Today, the Slocum disaster has largely faded from American consciousness, overshadowed by later publicized tragedies like the sinking of the Titanic and the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. But the public outrage over the fake life jackets finally broke the corrupt maritime inspection system, forcing a complete overhaul of the regulatory boards. While the General Slocum is largely forgotten, its grim legacy remains the bedrock for the rigorous maritime safety laws that protect every passenger on New York waters today.